and welcome to the July 20th meeting of the City of Lakeland Planning and Zoning Board. The board meets every third Tuesday of the month to review proposals for changing the city's comprehensive plan, its future land use map, zoning changes consistent with the map, and conditional use permits. The board is made up of 7 members appointed by the City Commission and is assisted by the staff of the Community and Economic Development Department and the city attorney's office. Staff will advance any presentation slides that should have been provided prior to the meeting. The meeting is divided into 2 parts. The first part is a public hearing where we expect to hear new applicants explain their request and receive comments from affected parties. The second part of the meeting is termed the general meeting and primarily consists of acting on recommendations from staff about the cases that came up in the prior month's meeting. We invite everyone who wishes to participate to be heard. We do ask that you be concise in your comments and that speakers avoid being repetitive. That is, if several people have pointed out traffic concerns, there is no need to hear additional comments regarding traffic again, but we would like to hear anything new that has not been addressed. In order to allow everyone to have an opportunity to speak, there will be a 3-minute time limit for each speaker, and the clerk has a timer for this purpose. We respectfully ask that you adhere to this rule. We also ask at this time that you silence all mobile devices. And with that, we thank you all for being here. And one last request: when you do come up to speak, please announce your name and your address. With that, I will turn the meeting over to Secretary Ronald Roberts.
Good morning. Item 1, requesting a change in land use on approximately 8.23 acres from convenience center to conservation. A change in land use on approximately 6.29 acres from residential low to convenience center. And a change in zoning on approximately 6.29 acres from limited development to pedestrian commercial district on property located north of Polk Parkway, east of Airport Road, and south of Steeplechase Drive, 3002 Airport Road. Owner Palm Airport Road LLC, applicant Hetty Harmon, Civil Serve Design Group, Inc.
Good morning. For the record, Todd Vargo with the Community Economic Development Division. This is the general location map. You can see Airport Road there, 572, and the Polk Parkway, 570. Here's the base zoning map and the aerial. And I'll get into this a little later. Here's another aerial. See in the Steeplechase subdivision, and then in the corner here where Airport Road meets the Polk Parkway, there's some wetlands. This is the current future land use map. That wetland area actually has a future land use of convenience center. So one of the requests is to change that, is to change that from convenience center to conservation, and then shift that convenience center land use northwards where it can be used for a little commercial plaza before Steeplechase. And then here's the zoning map. This is all zoned currently LD or limited development. And then that same area up near the entrance of Steeplechase would go from limited development to C1, which is our pedestrian commercial and is our most don't want to say limiting, but it's certainly not, it's our least intensive commercial. That's the words I was searching for. Oh. And with that brief overview of what's going on, I'm going to turn this over to the applicant. I think she may have her own presentation.
Hello, I'm Hetty Harmon with Civil Serve Design Group, 2525 Drainfield Road, Lakeland, Florida. Okay, as we can see, and Todd pointed out where the property was located, we're just north of the Parkway and off of Airport Road at the entrance of Steeplechase Road. Let's see. And again, here is the property. Now, we did meet with DOT about accessing the property on the south, and they would not let us access this property anywhere along either the Parkway or Airport Road. There is an existing curb cut right here on the north side to this property. So, of course, what we want to do is put the commercial up front instead of having to drive through the property to the south to get to the commercial property. When this property was sold in 1992. It was part of the West Lakeland DRI, and Mr. Friedrich sold this to the current owners as a commercial property. And that's why we don't know when all of a sudden the commercial got moved to the south. So now at this point, the owners want to sell the land, and Mr. Friedrich has joined as a managing partner and an owner of the property to help him in the sale of this property. And again, he pointed out where the CC was and where we want to move it to, up to the north. And we're looking at different C1 zonings for this. You could put an office, a small hotel, small gym, dog groomer, drugstore, a grocery store, daycare, small restaurant, or coffee shop. And what we did is we did put together a small little conceptual plan. This is not binding, of what could go there. Though these would be low-lying buildings, like one-story buildings with a buffer all along the property line to the south and as well along Airport Road. And here's the existing curb cut into the property. And then you say, why? Why do we want to move the commercial and promote this property now is with all the development going on in the area. You've got Laurel Highlands, you've got the Lakeland Central Park, got Rooms to Go, you've got the Parkway Preserve coming online, and you've got Carolyn Lakes, as well as Publix. And there's really no commercial to serve any of these residents anywhere in this area. I mean, I think you can get a subway down at the down on Drainfield Road, and that's about it. So what we're requesting is to relocate the convenience center and rezone it to C1, and then change the existing commercial to preservation. Thank you.
Any questions? Board? No questions? Thank you. Anyone from the audience have any comments? And up.
Good morning. It's the first time we've ever been to one of these, so I'm going to have a 3-minute time limit. I'm going to speak
Sir,
very
could you
fast.
state your name and address?
Well, my name is William Taylor. I live at 3150 Thoroughbred Loop West, Lakeland, and I am the president of the Steeplechase Homeowners Association.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to talk to you about Florida's most abundant resource, water. Okay, the reason I want to talk to you about that, I've lived in Lakeland and I've lived at Steeplechase for 24 years. When they first put the bypass in there, We had a wet summer and a wet spring and a wet summer. The entire neighborhood of Steeplechase flooded, some more than others. My property along that pond, which is not on the particular map we've got shown, my property flooded, and the water was in my lanai and that far from getting into my house. It was in the back, it was in the front, it was all around. People couldn't get in and out of Steeplechase unless they had a high sitting car. So we're concerned that this area that is further down Steeplechase to the Rotary is now going to be considered a residential low. So concerned that people are going to build houses or whatever. That whole area acts as a holding area for all the water that comes down Thoroughbred Loop North, Thoroughbred Loop West, Thoroughbred Loop South, Philly, and Sire. You can see I took and went walking all around the entire property, and it's all flooded. I've taken pictures. I've done a lot of work in checking out this whole area. If people come in and develop that area, and they're going to have to fill it in, the minute they do that, Steeplechase is going to be flooded. Every one of those houses are going to be flooded. I guarantee it. It's happened before. It's happened many times. It's coming up close. So anyways, so that's my biggest problem. There's also a problem with this road that was talked about. Many times Steeplechase has considered putting in a gate at the entrance to make it a gated community. We can't do that now because you can't put the gate up there and stop people from getting into that commercial property that you're asking. When they were doing the road and at Airport and make improvements, they told me that they were going to make an entrance into that commercial property from Airport Road. That didn't happen. They put in drainage along the Airport Road. Well, that was nice, but the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing. Sorry. The left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing, and when they put the walkway in, they went right across between the drainage and the property. Now, every time it rains, you can see the river. Oh, I'm done. The river that goes across that walkway and the backed up water. Okay, I guess I'm done. I would like to have a copy of the meeting minutes, if you would. Thank you.
Any questions? Any other comments from the audience? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Joe Angrisano. I live at 3138 Thoroughbred Loop West, Lakeland, Florida. My property is one of the houses, again, on the pond. It's not featured there, but actually what I wanted to add was some of the stuff that Bill discussed here, was that if you look at this map, I mean, all of this land, thank you, all of this land that you can see here, it basically acts as the common areas for our community. People walk the dogs up front, all of that open area. Obviously, people fish at that lake, everything else. And the back part of this is wetlands, but of course, you have roughly 16 to 18 homes with nature views that are all surrounding this property. So all of this land, if it becomes developed to any level, you're going to have many, many homes that actually lose their view, their property. They're going to look out their back, and instead of seeing forest and trees, they're going to see a building or a commercial unit or something like that. This process was already started, actually, I forget, maybe 2 years ago. We were told this was all wetlands back there to begin with. This whole area that is Part L and now going to be shifted to a conserve. They began cutting the trees. They actually went into that top portion over there and they started cutting all the trees out. They were stopped. They had to do that. I live on that pond, and I used to be able to see forest, and after they cut the trees, I could see the road, and I could see the street light reflecting off the pond at night. I'm still lucky, though, because I still have some nature. Some of those houses on the corner end there, they lost all their tree view, and now they're just sitting out there where everyone can see. I know we can't stop the development, but there has to be something in place, some kind of consideration giving to the people of the community where we can be assured that we still have our homes and the value of our homes. I know, speaking personally and not for the HOA, even though I am the vice president, I bought a waterfront property with a nature view. I'd like to maintain that. You know, I'd like some assurance that this land behind my home will not be developed in any way. Why could it not all be considered a conserve? I mean, really, what could be put back there anyway when we're talking about all of this wooded area? Up front, of course, we have the concern with the traffic coming in. That's going to be a big issue. That entrance to our community is already congested. It is very difficult to get out in the morning. If you add commercial buildings and stuff like that and you don't allow us a traffic light or something, we're going to have a very hard time getting in and out of our own community. And again, and that's overlooking the fact that right now that area up front is where the kids play. They fish and everything else. That will now just be a commercial area. If you look at our community, we don't have common areas. Like, that's it. This land that they're discussing about developing is the land that we use. We've also taken care of this land for about 20 years. We cut the land, we treat the ponds, and moving forward, we're not sure if we'll be able to continue treating these ponds and beautifying the community for the residents.
Any questions? Any other comments from the audience?
I have a question for the applicant. Can the applicant come back up, please?
Sir, could you come back up?
No, applicant.
Ms. Harmon.
That's okay, let's listen to him first.
Good morning. My name is Carl Verdonk. I live at 3289 Triple Crown Lane. I have the nice orange roof at the southwest corner of the upper pond, so I'm directly impacted by this development. Since my backyard, that right now I enjoy a view of the pond and nature, all sorts of birds, turtles, ospreys, American bald eagles. Now I'm going to be considering looking at the back of a commercial building and dumpsters. Besides the flooding issues that have already been raised, the traffic issues, for myself, being directly on the back of this, privacy is one of my major concerns, which also leads to loss of property value. As I said, now I'm changing a view from essentially pure nature to back of commercial buildings, and then having to deal with the sounds of customers' cars and trucks coming in and out the exhaust, loud diesel commercial delivery trucks, trunks and car doors banging, people talking, hundreds of people a day essentially having a bird's eye view right into the back of my house, losing absolutely all privacy. What I would ask, I know the little guy kind of always loses in these development issues, but the people that were there first need to be given some consideration. And for me, that would be requesting not a berm or a simple fence, but a solid, most likely concrete barrier wall surrounding the back of this development. That's to deflect the sound and also to shield myself and the other residents from the hundreds of prying eyes every day that would completely destroy our property, render our backyards and patios virtually unusable, also bring in a possible element of crime, and not to mention ruin our home's values, make it extraordinarily difficult to sell if we wanted to get out. And right now, already having several of us being talked about leaving, having this driving us out of our house that we lived in for many years. I've been in this location for 18 years, and now I'm having to look at maybe selling my house and leaving. Because the reason I bought the house was because I was insured by the builder that because the pond directly behind the house ensured no one would build directly behind me, and most likely anything in the front area would be single family homes, not dropping a commercial building and parking lots right into the middle of a single family home residential area. And in my last few seconds, having acres of asphalt and concrete that have absolutely no absorption creating massive runoff into ponds that are already pushing their capacity whenever you have heavy rains. Something severe is going to have to be looked at for drainage. Thank you.
Any questions, gentlemen?
Can the applicant come back up, please? So my question is, you want to keep one area residential low that's sliced right in the middle. Is that because there is an intent to put more housing back there? Because it doesn't look like it would even support, with the wetlands and the water topography, that it would even support more houses.
At this point, we really hadn't discussed that area. We were just trying to get the commercial up front, with adjacent to access. There's no intent of proposed development at this time. What we're wanting to do is be able to sell the property with a commercial use on it that's accessible. Because if it's on the south end of the property, we'd still have to come in off of Steeplechase and drive down there to the commercial property. And we also, whoever will develop this property will definitely have to address the drainage on this property. That will be, and for some reason, both of the ponds are on the Palm Airport's property. So I'm sure when they go to develop the property, they will have to address all the drainage that's going on out there. And, as we did, as proposed, and as the, city would probably require as well, some type of barrier between, on the west side of the pond there, all the way down, protecting the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Is Steeplechase a public or private road?
Say that again? I'm sorry.
Is it a public or private road?
Steeplechase?
Yes.
I think public. Yeah.
So any discussion of a gated entrance would have to go through coordination with the county? Is that correct, or city?
The gated would have to go through the city, and then I don't know those terms exactly, but they could start the gate further back too. Not right at the entrance to the road.
Generally, for a subdivision to have a gate, they would have to privately maintain the road. Right now it's publicly maintained, so Public Works would not allow a gate in that type of situation.
You said it would have to become a private road?
They would have to basically take over responsibility for maintenance of the.
What, I know there's some subdivisions in the Tampa area where they have gated communities, but you really don't have to be granted access. It's the idea of a gate there, which sort of discourages people, and their roads are still public because they're not blocked out, and any John Doe could come in if they wanted to. But the gate sort of acts as and they do have a guardhouse, and the gate sort of acts as a deterrent for people to come in. Is there anything like that in the area?
Not that I can think of. I believe all of the subdivisions that we have with gates are privately maintained. I'm thinking about the examples in Oak Bridge. Those are all privately maintained streets.
So it's currently residential low, meaning that theoretically you could sell the property and put more houses there. Am I correct?
You could, if it's developable. There is a lot of wetlands back in there.
Well, if there's a lot of wetlands, then I would think houses would be more, more in line with the environmental impact than a commercial building. But
On the southern end is where the wetlands are, yes.
Any other questions?
Got a
Yes.
question? Go ahead.
Go on.
Okay, I have a comment to the...
Sir, if you would please come up to the microphone so we can get you on the record. Thank you.
This is William Taylor again, 3150 Thoroughbreds Loop West. To the comment about maintaining steeplechase roads, we already do. we not only maintain steeplechase roads, we also maintain the ponds. And we just went through a revitalization with the state of Florida. And let me get to the page here quickly. In our CCRs and bylaws, it directly states that steeplechase will maintain the ponds regardless of who owns them. It's in Article 4, Section 3. As far as the road, we maintain the grass along the road. We cut the grass. We also have a person who is parking an 18-wheel vehicle on the side of steeplechase. I have called the city. I've given them pictures. I've tried to get this person to move. Can't. He's got big barrels of stuff. We have no idea. Over on the other side of the used to be barbed wire fence, and we have no idea what's in there. So we maintain that road, and we will continue to maintain that road. So there's not a problem with us maintaining the road. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
Is it possible for us to approve part of the land use, some of them, or is it all or nothing? Because I like the land use change to conservation. I like that one, but we can't change just one of them.
I can chime in on that because it's going to be, it'd be very problematic for the board to, I guess, remove the entitlements from one portion and not grant the what's being requested, because there was a recent change in the legislature regarding property rights and comprehensive plans, and we're still reviewing that legislation to determine what the impact on our process is going to be. But if an applicant comes in and they're asking for something and the board decides to take action to make their property conservation and not give them the additional entitlement that they're requesting, it could be problematic under this new legislation. We'd be removing entitlements from a property and not giving them what they're asking for. I do want to review that a little bit more, and we hope to have some more clarity on how that's going to impact our process, this legislation. But I would advise against that course of action, and I don't think that we're being requested, or the board isn't being requested to take action on this today. Is that correct?
That's correct. So this is just the public hearing, and then the staff will come back with their recommendation next month.
And just to clarify this request, if it moves forward, they are going to be reducing the acreage for the CC based on what they currently have. They currently have 8.29 acres at the intersection of the Parkway and Airport Road. And this request would reduce that to 6.29, so almost a 2-acre reduction over what they have currently.
I'm really confused now. My understanding is the property that is Airport and Steeplechase at that intersection, is that the property that you're looking to change to commercial that is currently conservation?
There you can see the map there. So the top is currently residential low.
And they want to change that to commercial, correct?
Is that-
Yeah, the convenience center.
And they're essentially trying to swap it because
Right,
that's not the bottom.
where the green part is.
Right.
So we're actually getting more conservation area than we have now.
I believe that's what
That's
Mr.
correct.
Lyons was just saying.
Okay,
Currently, you have no conservation, nothing that would
right.
protect those wetlands. If the developer wanted to go buy the wetland credits, he could come in tomorrow and develop that property for commercial uses.
Okay, gotcha.
So at this time, or do we wait for staff recommendations? Do we ask the applicant, put some buffers or give us some sort of idea of how it's going to look?
That would be something that would be brought to you in a staff recommendation. So it sounds like what you are considering is having more specific conditions tied to this request. And just keep in mind that the request is for standard zoning, C1. So it's not conditioned. They just would have the designation placed on the property and then be subject to all of the development standards within the Land Development Code. That's different from a planned unit development, which you quite frequently see with larger developments where there is a very specific site plan adopted and then conditions of approval that are applied. So that'll be one thing to consider going forward, is whether or not C1 is sufficient or if this would require a planned unit development based upon concerns that you're hearing.
So it'd be proper now to just make a motion for a continuance until next meeting after the staff has had a chance to review everything.
I don't think there's a need to continue the public hearing as long as you get all the information today. We'll still come back with a recommendation next month.
Can I ask one question? That section of steeplechase that's in question, is that 2 lanes? That's what it looks like to me.
Can you, Todd, put the aerial up?
Yes, there are.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe so.
An island in the middle at the beginning, and we have property on, directly between Airport Road and Steeplechase on the corner where the development was yellow over there.
So again, if you would come up to the microphone to speak.
Sir?
We're on television. We have incredible ratings for our program. And they would all be disappointed if they couldn't hear you.
Well, I don't sing very well, but anyways, if you look at the map over there where those trees are in the upper left-hand corner. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, right there. That we own that property, and we own right across the street all the way up to another access road, up to there. We own that. Okay, that's all steeplechase. So what I'm going to do is, if they start developing, is I'm going to put a big fence around that one corner to keep our steeplechase sign there. Because when the bulldozers come in, they have no idea there's a property line there. So they're going to have to put a fence or something up to tell the developers, don't bulldoze this. So what I want to make a point is that we can physically put a fence across that entrance right there because we own both sides of the property. We cannot put a fence anywhere else down along Steeplechase because we don't own that property. All righty, thank you.
I have a quick question. Is there a wetland map that shows those areas and the designations?
One does exist.
Give me just a second. I can.
We did have a wetland determination done on the site, and the commercial, the south end of the commercial that we're proposing is about the area where the wetlands are.
Okay, so everything south of
Yes.
that is considered wetlands?
Right. Which they could mitigate some of that if there's a place to buy mitigation credits, in the future.
You have questions? Any other comments from the board? We're allowing folks to repeat. Is that permissible to let them come up and speak multiple times?
I'm sorry, I was having trouble
I
here.
said we're people from the audience are speaking multiple times. Normally, we don't allow that.
You're the chair, and it's at your discretion to allow additional comment or not.
I have one more comment. The community has been using that retention area as a feature. How would that be treated in the proposed development with buffers and whatnot? Would you?
We're looking at putting it on the west side of the pond. Let's see, I think we have that. It's just a conceptual we have. It's nothing that is, but see, we have like a buffer area or the wall, whatever, is required would go on the north side of the pond area. And then we would have to accommodate our drainage on site. And that would, be up to the engineers to figure out where all the water is going to go and that type of thing.
And one of the things that we'll do between now and the time of the recommendation is research the plat on this property. I was trying to pull it up here to see how that roadway was platted and any maintenance requirements, but we will research the plat and also the CC&Rs of the homeowners association so that we have a clear understanding of who's responsible for what.
So your proposal would be for like a wall, no trees, no greenery?
The minimum code requirement would be a type A buffer, would be a 6-foot high fence or wall, and a 7.5-foot landscaping strip with a combination of type A trees and hedge there. So that would be the code minimum under the C1. If it were a PD, you could require a more significant buffer.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Do we have a date for when this would come back?
The August meeting, which is that date, August 17th.
And
Another
for-
comment from the audience? Okay.
My name is Valerie Alexander. I live at 3297 Triple Crown Lane. My property will be the most affected. As a homeowner, we are not allowed to have privacy fences within our community. So I have my fence 2 years ago was put to our property line, which means this so-called commercial property would be directly to my fence line. I will never be able to sit in my backyard again. I will never be able to open my windows because people will be able to pull into this so-called property, park their cars, and directly look at me. My family, we've been there for 21 years. For 21 years, me, myself, and my husband have maintained the property directly behind our house. We have mowed it. We have made sure it was maintained so people could be back there to take their dogs for walks, to make sure kids could play, to make sure that no flooding would happen. We've had the problem with it before. So for 21 years, we have maintained that property. If you drive back there, there's a road that runs alongside the pond, and it goes back to an area that's completely mowed every single week. No one has ever paid us. No one has ever asked us to do it. We did it so that we can maintain for everybody else in the community. My issue is my property value is going to drop. I'll never be able to sell my house because somebody will always be looking at the back of a community that will be looking at a property. We are asking, if anything, that a 6-foot barrier put up so that we do not see this property that's going to be developed, so that I can maintain some quality of life and not just in my backyard, because I will never be able to leave behind my backyard. I, myself, Mr. Verdant, we will be so affected by it because we cannot put privacy fences up there. Our community just won't allow it. So I just ask, please, to just reconsider. When we bought, it was wetlands, it was changed, it was residential. If houses were gonna be developed there, perfect, that's great, be a part of our community. But you're talking about putting a commercial property that allows for burglary. We will have to worry about people looking in our backyards. This is my home. I've been there 21 years. I have tried to make sure my kids were raised right, done the right thing within our community. I'm just asking, please take into consideration the fact that we are a residential community, a small residential community, and we just want to keep it that way and we want to keep it private. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, if I may make an announcement as well, just so for some of y'all, if you're not familiar with our process, this is what they call the general meeting today, where the planning and this planning zoning board, they're going to take in all this public comment. So if you want to speak, today's the day to speak on this project, and we're going to come back on August 17th, and that's when the staff will bring forward their recommendation on this proposal, and that's when the board will decide whether or not they want to recommend approval or denial to the commission. So I just want to be clear about that. If you want to speak, go ahead and be prepared to come up and speak for your 3 minutes, and so the board can hear what you have to say.
Good morning. My name is William Sacamano, S-A-C-C-O-M-A-N-O. I live at 3081 Steeplechase Drive, which is all the way down in the bottom. in the cul-de-sac area, so I'm one of the farthest points down. My concerns with this is, I don't know if any of you have ever been to the development or if that's part of your process, but I would urge that if you can come to see our development, you do so and understand where we're all coming from. There is one lane in, one lane out, number one. It's already difficult to turn, as it's been mentioned, but along Airport Road, they just recently did some restructuring with the roads to get entrances onto Polk Parkway for publics a little bit more accessible. So with that, they have put in a sidewalk that has made it compatible for more pedestrian movement along Airport Road. This change to this commercial is going to change that ability, number one, that was just developed. Number two, all along Steeplechase from the very beginning entrance, all the way through, well, our whole development, there are no sidewalks in our development at all. They were never, ever put in place. We walk in the streets right now with our dogs, with our children. That's the only way that we can get from point A to point B. We have people that already come through and already exceed the speed limit through the development, and especially there's no stops along Steeplechase. We have approached the city about getting speed bumps on Steeplechase. We don't have enough traffic, we were told, so that's not a possibility. What I would urge you to consider is on the far side, as you're exiting Steeplechase, that far side of the land is all owned by D.R. Horton, and as Bill mentioned earlier, we maintain that and cut that grass. There are already trees that are coming out over the street. We've called the city. The city said, call D.R. Horton. Do you know how hard it is to call D.R. Horton to get somebody to come out and cut trees? They haven't done it in 5 years since I've lived here. So what I'm asking is that you maybe consider the pedestrian impact that this may have, and on that far side, use that 12-foot space between the road and D.R. Horton's fence line, and maybe include a sidewalk so that the pedestrian travel can happen, so that we're safe, number one. Because what's going to happen is it's going to take somebody to get injured or killed there for something to change. So I ask you to consider that. Also at the front entrance, right where the road is coming down that they talked about, that's where the school buses come in the morning. We have one pickup, one drop off. All the students are up there in the front in the mornings and then dropped off in the afternoon. The buses do not come through the development. They drop them off there, they pick them up there. Parents park up there to pick up their children for safety reasons. This is going to have a significant impact on that for all of the involved. So I ask that you please consider that when you're making your determination. Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience? This gentleman and then this. Okay.
Hi, Keith Horn. I live at 3136 Philly Lane. Just one comment lady made about the development growth, and there was really nothing for the citizens. They were trying to do this for the 0.8 of a mile from our subdivision to Dragonfield Road. You turn west, there are multiple commercial properties that have been built in the last 2 years that are over 90% vacant. So it's not an issue of not having place to open businesses that are close to the developments that are going on. There's a bunch there already that are completely empty. So if you consider that, I don't know the necessity for another commercial site to possibly be empty. And with the impact COVID's had, we've seen a lot of brick and mortar places that are beginning to shut down. So in the future, 3 to 5 years, are we going to have an abandoned building that we're really going to have to worry about vagrants hanging out? Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Lamar Nelson, Lamar Nelson, Nelson. I reside on 3273 Triple Crown Lane. I'm right there at the top there by the top pond, maybe one of the middle houses. I live adjacent to where any proposed structure would be built. I'm opposed to any change in zoning. I can tell you as a FedEx driver that I see many neighborhoods that have these type of things built in front of them, and they just bring a bunch of unwanted traffic to the neighborhood. And it's usually in rundown neighborhoods that you see convenience stores or gas stations or Dollar Generals. For the safety of my children, who, again, they only have that one main street, no sidewalks anywhere. Kids do have to play in the street, and we already have unwanted traffic that comes in and will sit at where the entrance is proposed to be for this plaza, and sit there and just kind of sit and hang out, take lunch breaks or whatnot. I don't think anyone on this commission would want this built in their neighborhood, and nor do I. It's a quiet neighborhood. This map doesn't do it justice. It's really small. It's roughly 100 houses. I urge you to drive through there and really take a look at it. It's really tiny. And again, I'm opposed to any changes. I don't think it's necessary. Again, like a gentleman before said, there are many other places that structures have been built and they're empty. They're just sitting there. This is not needed in this area. There are plenty of other places to build. This is simply just someone wanting to make a sale. And you know, it's just, it's a nice quiet neighborhood, family neighborhood. We all take care of this neighborhood. Be ashamed to see something built there. I see it all the time where you have places, you know, built in front of neighborhoods like this, and it just destroys the neighborhood, I can assure you. Hopefully whatever decision is made will be the right one. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else? Anyone else from the audience? Any questions from the board? At this point, we just, you will take, the department will take it under consideration and bring us your recommendations at our next meeting.
That's correct.
We thank everyone. Appreciate it.
Item 2, major modification of PUD zoning for Parkway Preserve, a previously approved 300-unit multi-family residential development to allow driveway access on Airport Road on property located south of Carolyn Boulevard and west of Airport Road, 3301 Airport Road. Owner, LMC Lakeland Development, Inc. Applicant, Timothy Campbell.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Philip Scarce. I'm a principal planner with Community and Economic Development. This case came before you late last year, in the winter of 2020. It was eventually approved by the City Commission in January this year. It was a major modification to an existing plan unit development, which increased the unit count to 300 multifamily residential units. This is just south of the case we heard previously, just south of Polk Parkway at the southwest corner of Carillon Boulevard and Airport Road right here. So again, we have the existing zoning map and we have an aerial. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this site. This is Carillon Boulevard, Airport Road. Again, the PUD was approved earlier this year for 300 multifamily units on this site. This is the approved site plan that was approved by the City Commission. They were showing improvements on Carillon Boulevard, eastbound right turn lane on the Carillon Boulevard. They also have a westbound left turn lane, and there was an optional access point to Airport Road as well. The applicant, Mr. Campbell, will let him come up and explain the nature of his request. This is a major modification of this request. There's no changes to the number of use or anything. There may be some changes to the overall layout. And Mr. Campbell will get into that, and I'll let Mr. Campbell come up and explain his request for you. Thank you very much.
Good morning. For purposes of your record, my name is Tim Campbell with the law firm of Clark Campbell, Lancaster, and Munson, 500 South Florida Avenue here in Lakeland, Florida. With me today is Beck Daniel from Matcon Construction Services. They are the developer of this project, and Gene Engel, who's representing the property owner. The request today, while it's a major modification because it changes a condition of the PUD ordinance that was adopted by the City Commission, it's really relatively minor in nature. And I'll remind you that there are only two things that are being requested, and they are the only subject of this request and the only subject of this hearing. We've been through a lot with the Planning and Zoning Board and a very long hearing with the City Commission, and we have an approved and an adopted PUD ordinance that governs and allows the proposed use for Parkway Preserve. So there are two things that we've asked. One, as you see on the site plan, Airport Road, even initially, there was a lot of requests from the Carillon residents that we have some additional access onto Airport. It's actually prohibited by the PUD ordinance and was for a very long time prohibited by the Florida Department of Transportation. They would not allow it. So what we showed on our site plan was an emergency access so that at least we would have emergency access. By the time we got to the City Commission, FDOT finally started speaking with us about the potential of allowing that access. Meanwhile, the residents of Carillon Lakes objected to those the improvements on Carillon Boulevard, the turn lanes that we had proposed in conjunction with our development. So we're here today to ask for two things. One, to modify the provision of the PUD ordinance that prohibits access onto Airport Road to allow it. Because that is something that the residents have wanted, that we have that additional access onto Airport. FDOT has been meeting with Chuck Barnby with the city and with our transportation planner to do some studies and some analysis to allow that access, and we're trying to proceed with that. So we want that ability, we want that prohibition to be removed, and that's a simple change. The other one, so over time, remember it was January that we were approved, and we've continued to move forward. And there have been discussions with the association to try to find ways to do this in a manner that was not objectionable to them. But nevertheless, we've needed to move forward. So what we've asked is, right now the condition is we have to do those turn lanes on Carillon Boulevard. And throughout the time that we've been dealing with this, the association has objected to that and not agreed to modify their easement to allow us to make those turn lanes. So, and I'll tell you that just as of last week, we've started to have some movement on that, and we will continue to proceed with those discussions. But what we've asked for is the alternative. Either we move forward with that and do those turn lanes, or we do not just an emergency access to Airport Road, but we do a full access, which of course would disperse our trips between Carillon Boulevard, where we do have an easement and an access, and Airport Road. So we want that option to do one or the other so that we can move forward. And I'll say, and can we move to the other screen? One other thing, just while we're addressing this. So the first site plan that was approved by the City Commission, the PUD ordinance allows some adjustment with respect to, there was a discussion about one of our buildings that was close to Carillon Boulevard, and there were objections from the residents about that. And also to allow some flexibility on the southeast corner where that Airport Road access is, to ultimately allow some interconnection with the property to the south of our site. So your staff is allowed to do some administrative adjustments to the site plan. When we met with the association, we shared with them the plan that you see. And what we have done in that is moved the building in the northwest corner, thank you, Philip, farther away from the boulevard, and it was right up on the kind of the property line next to a buffer. So we've moved that away. We also moved the clubhouse, which is right there. We moved that away from the entrance because that was part of the request. Move some of the intensity away from Caroline Boulevard to lessen the impact on Caroline Boulevard. So we've done those things. And so we've submitted this as part of our plan, as part of our exhibits for the options A and B. This one's option A because you can see the Caroline Boulevard turn lanes are in that. The other one, option B, would not have that. So that is the nature of our request. We think we've certainly met with the association all through this period of time. We're hopeful after some recent discussions that we can do some things and work together. But nevertheless, we have the approval to do the multifamily units on this site. We have DOT's initial blessing to do the airport road access. And so we're looking forward to moving forward with the development. Stand available for any questions that you have and request the opportunity to respond if and when you receive additional public comment.
I'd just like to make a quick comment. The site plan changes have made this an improvement from before, and I really, they look nice.
Thank you very much. The credit goes to the developer who kind of, they listened. We've been in these meetings, and it helps to sit down, and we've done that in a period of time. And so some of the things that were addressed made sense, and they did adjust their site plan. So thank you for that.
And it does look great. The amount of buildings has decreased quite a bit. Did the stories increase to make up for that?
They did not. I think they combined some smaller buildings, and they just did. Honestly, what happened is the first plan you ever saw was done by an engineer, and this one's been planned by an architect. So they have different eyes.
Any other questions, Mr. Campbell?
Do you have a question in terms of the second request? You say a full access on Airport Road. Can you explain what you mean by full access?
So as approved, all that we proposed was an emergency access because DOT wouldn't allow a full. So it would have been emergency access with a gate and a lock. I think they call it a Knox box that only emergency personnel can get in and out and unlock that lock. So it really was not an access. It was our hope in doing that first that would allow emergency access, a second way to get out. But secondly, our hope was in the future that might change and we could convert it. But now we've had those discussions, we've provided the studies to DOT, and we're working with them. So that would be, a full open alternative access to the site. So we would have two different points of ingress and egress.
But it would act as a right in, right out, essentially.
That would be a right in, right out. You're correct.
So this would actually decrease traffic on Caroline Road?
It would decrease traffic.
Decrease.
Is that what you said? Yes, sir. Because it would, anybody who needs to go to the signal and go north, obviously, would want to go on Caroline Boulevard, so they have the advantage of the traffic signal. But anybody traveling south would go out the right out, and probably a good bit of the entering traffic would use the airport road. And there we have traffic analysis, and Libby Rodriguez has discussed this with Chuck Barnby. But we've been, the city and DOT require us to look at all these things, and we've provided that analysis to them.
And just to clarify, you said this has been approved by DOT, or is it pending?
They gave us approval to move forward, and so now all we have to do is submit, construction level plans that they sign off on. But they have approved allowing us to do the access onto Airport Road.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments from the audience?
Oh, I have a question.
Yes.
Would the residents, and I know because I've lived in apartments too, so if I lived at the very bottom building, I wouldn't want to go through the whole community. I would want to take that access road. Will residents have their own clickers, or will they have like a press button thing that would take time to do, or how would that work?
I don't know if that design is.
Oh, is that not
there's
gated?
A gate. I know there's a gate on the inbound, so I assume it's going to be through a clicker or an activation code and visit. There probably will also be a keypad for visitors because not everybody would have that. You know, when they do as an example, so you can kind of see the little. You can see the little demarcation for the gate right there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, but when it goes through the city's DRT process, they are going to have certain, they want to make sure they're stacking and all of those things. And so all of that will be addressed at the construction level review.
Anybody else? Comments from the audience?
Good morning. My name is Dan Pilka of Pilka, Adams and Reed, 256 North Kentucky Avenue in Lakeland. I am the attorney for Carillon Lakes Homeowners Association. Now, if you recall in January, there was quite a few homeowners who commented, and one of the concerns was that as it exists right now, Carillon Boulevard is extremely highly trafficked. There's backups every morning between school and people coming in and going to work, and that putting 300 people on this property, it's 300 more homeowners, unit renters on the property would further exacerbate the traffic situation. That was partially addressed by the creation of the turn lanes, both the left turn lane into the development and the right turn lane onto Airport Road. That would help alleviate the traffic issues. The concern with this new plan is that we appreciate and applaud the developer. And by the way, we have been negotiating with the developer, and when Mr. Campbell says we objected to the turn lanes, I don't think that was quite accurate. If we're going to go forward with the development, the association understands and the homeowners understand you have to have the turn lanes there. That is, without it, you would have backing up of traffic and congestion problems even worse than they exist right now. So going forward, and again, we applaud the developer for looking to develop an entrance on Airport Road. But there is no study that's been presented that would suggest that by putting a right turn lane for southbound traffic from Airport Road will so alleviate the traffic conditions on Carillon Lakes that the turn lanes would not still also be necessary, and that the modifications to Carillon Boulevard that were approved in the original by you all previously should not also be there. So at this point, it's our recommendation, and the board has met, they've discussed it with the homeowners, that in going forward, we applaud and agree that the commission should approve, and the city should approve the access from Airport Road, but it's not an either or, it's an and continue, if the development continues, to develop Carillon Boulevard as previously approved by the commission and by the city commission, so that we have the left turn lane into the development and the right turn lane onto Airport Road from Carillon Boulevard, and that the expansion called for to handle the increased traffic flow on Carillon Boulevard is properly met and dealt with. It should not be an either or. It should have been before an and it is now, should still be. And development of the Airport Road entrance and exit in conjunction with the expansion and development of Carillon Boulevard to handle entrance from the north from Carillon Boulevard. Thank you. If there's any questions.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Anyone else from the audience?
I'm Donna Willett, Willett. I live at 3380 Fiddle Leaf Way in Lakeland, 33811. First, let me say that the new look of Parkway Preserve is such a vast improvement from the prior outlays. The complex appears to have made adjustments to the placement of buildings that would make it a safer place to live. As a resident of Caroline Lakes, I appreciate that the common areas are now inside the complex rather than along our private road. Congratulations on conferring with FDOT to obtain a driveway directly into the complex. This will certainly alleviate some of the traffic generated by 300 apartments. Although this is surely a cause for celebration, it does not negate the fact that our private road, Caroline Boulevard, will be used by apartment residents. With 641 residents in Caroline Lakes who use this as our only ingress and egress, we have already gotten a taste of what traffic making a left-hand turn into the complex from our boulevard might include. In one instance, a truck with a long trailer attempted to make a left-hand turn onto what is going to be the Parkway Preserve property. The result was that our residents leaving home for work appointments and etc., as well as those entering our community, waited for 30 minutes, stopped traffic both ways for this person to negotiate the turn. On another instance, a truck making the same left-hand turn almost collided with a resident who was leaving the community. The truck either did not look or the vehicle did not see that there was a vehicle of one of our residents exiting the traffic lane. These have happened with few people who are actually trying to get onto the property there. In 2006, when there were only 142 townhomes were planned, there was a driveway from Airport Road to the property. Traffic along Airport Road has significantly increased since 2006. Yet even then, the developers realized the importance of having direct access to Airport Road along with additional lanes on Caroline Boulevard. The original design, dated on April 6, 2020, presented to Caroline Lakes with both the driveway on Airport Road and the additional lanes for safe travel. This was a concept drawing for sure, but it shows the driveways as an illustration of the original concerns for the traffic generated by 300 apartments. Even with the addition of the driveway for the apartments, the concern is making a left-hand turn onto Airport Road. Caroline Boulevard, which is a one-lane exit, will likely be the vehicle path for apartment residents wanting to make that left-hand turn. Thank you.
Any questions? Any other comments from the audience? Just the board you all will be reconsidering these changes, I take it, and bring it back to us at the next meeting. Thank you. Tim, you have another comment?
Chuck, did you have anything you want to add?
Transportation is not an issue.
Good morning. For the record again, Chuck Barney with the Community and Economic Development Department. And to echo Mr. Campbell's comments, DOT will formally review the driveway request for Airport Road, and so there will be subsequent analyses and review phases conducted by DOT. There may be need to shift the driveway further to the south, closer to the property boundary to meet DOT's spacing standards. And so I just want to let everybody know that there may still be some adjustments in terms of the actual placement of the driveway, but that will be something that's vetted through the design process through the normal DOT permitting procedures. That's it.
And I just want to respond real briefly. So there are pre-existing traffic conditions in the Caroline Lakes neighborhood and along Caroline Boulevard. The traffic issues were addressed exhaustively through the last process, and we were approved with this development, with the number of units, with the access onto Caroline Boulevard, and an emergency access onto Airport Road. It is a private road, but we have an easement to utilize that roadway. So this parcel has access to Caroline Boulevard. I will tell you that There are absolutely objections to our, as a matter of fact, there was a refusal because it's not the best written easement on earth, and so it doesn't say you can go add improvements. That's where our dilemma began. And so we were told you may not go make those turn lane improvements. So we were forced to go to the FDOT and start exploring this alternative, which, by the way, is a better plan anyway, so it was a good process, but we did that only because we were required to. And as you, I'm sure, are well know, FDOT doesn't say yes without you submitting traffic analysis that says, hey, this works to do the airport road access, and then to continue to have the additional access off of Caroline Boulevard without the turn lanes. So we have done the analysis. DOT will not allow us to proceed, and the city will not allow us to proceed without that analysis. So, and we do not agree to the and. We're here 7 months after our approval because we haven't been able to work this out. It's taken a while with DOT. Until a week ago, after 7 months, we haven't had any good movement to potentially do Caroline Boulevard. So we don't want to be in the position that today it says and then tomorrow the association says we're not going to modify that easement. So we're going to, you can see this developer's listened. We've adjusted the plan. It's a much nicer plan. The access and the traffic flow will be better. And we want the ability to complete this process and move forward in the manner that's approved by DOT and the city. And so we respectfully request the 2 modifications as set forth in our application. And we stand for any additional questions you may have.
No questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I think that concludes the public part of our meeting.
If there are no other public comments, then yes, this would conclude the public hearing and staff would come back with the recommendation next month.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Just need a few of them. We have the meeting minutes from the June meeting. I trust everybody's had an opportunity to review them. Any comments or changes? We'll stand approved. Okay.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Sure. Item 4, plat approval for Lakeland True subdivision on 4.3 acres generally located west of North Road 98, south of Mall Access 3, and north of Interstate 4. Owner applicant, Lakeland Property Investors, LLC.
Hi, good morning. For the record, Joshua Cheney with Community Economic Development. Kimley Horn and Associates Incorporated, on behalf of Lakeland Property Investors, LLC, has submitted a subdivision plat for the Lakeland TRU subdivision. Here you can see on the overhead map, this is the location. This is just to the southeast of the mall. This is the old Toys R Us site, which now will be a Arby's, a Krispy Kreme, and a walk-on bistro restaurant. The proposed plat consists of 3 lots on approximately 4.3 acres, generally located west of North Road 98, south of Mall Access 3, and north of Interstate I-4. Plats are reviewed by the City Subdivision Review Team for compliance with Article 9, which is our subdivision standards contained within our Land Development Code. We are recommending approval to the Planning and Zoning Board. And with that, I'll stand for any questions that you may have.
Question. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you. All right, item 5.
That's for me. Item 5, overview of administrative adjustments approved from January to June.
Good morning, Matthew Lyons, Community Economic Development. The administrative adjustments, there is a provision in the Land Development Code that allows staff to administratively approve minor adjustments to site plans and development approvals that do not warrant a variance. And per the the adopting language there. We do update you every now and then to let you know what we have approved. So in this case, we have for the first 6 months of the year, we have 6 administrative adjustments that we have approved here. I can answer any questions you have about what's listed here, but that's what's been approved for the current year to date.
Any questions? Thank you.
And then moving on to the report of City Commission action on Planning and Zoning Board recommendations. In the month of June, the City Commission approved the associated land use and zoning changes for the Cypress Point subdivision. This is the subdivision that is immediately east of Lake Parker, so that was approved. They also approved the land use and zoning changes for the former Tremont Center, which is now the Saunders, Ralston, Dantzler Real Estate Office and Central Florida Development Council offices on US 98. There was also the approval of the reuse of the St. Joseph Academy campus by Florida Southern College for its nursing program. And then you probably saw this week they made the announcement of the donor for that facility. So that is moving forward. And finally, there was approval for the conversion of the former auto owner's office on Memorial Boulevard for use by the Alliance for Independence. And that did have, at the time of City Commission, a change to the conditions to address the challenges that the Alliance was having with getting access or elimination of an access on Memorial. And I believe the end result of that is that they are going to be allowed to keep that direct access and not have to rely on the property to the east. So that worked itself out, thankfully. And then looking forward to next month's cases that are new, we have a round of Land Development Code text amendments that we will be presenting to you. I believe there's probably a good 8 or 10 in that round that's coming forward. Oh, 6.
Yeah, they're grouped together.
I'm overstating the changes. So you'll see those. And pull up the tracker here to get the other items that are coming forward. So coming for hearing, there will be a request for a cell tower out near the Sam's Club and where the new Veterans Administration is being developed. So I believe that's it in terms of new land use or zoning applications. And then, oh, there's one more, sorry. There's a request for a single-family subdivision on Olive Street at 1506 Olive Street. So that's west of downtown. So that'll be coming forward. Do you have anything to add?
Did you mention the Druid Street approval from?
Oh, well, Druid Street was, that was approved yesterday. The Druid Street single-family attached townhomes. Actually, that was, sorry. Yeah, that had been continued from a prior City Commission meeting. The applicant made some changes to the layout, reduced the density from 40 units down to 32, also reduced the amount of acreage, and that did receive approval.
Anything else? I think in that case, we're